Aloha! Welcome to the Go Farm Hawaii Community Edition. My name is Mindy Jaffe, and I am the founder and coordinator of the Windward Zero Waste School, HUI. We are 5 schools in Kailua who are zero waste campuses. We take all of the rich resources of the school, once upon a time known as waste, and we take food, milk, green waste, paper and cardboard and turn it all into rich soil, which we use here on our schoolyards to enhance fertility of garden, lawn, and landscape. And we sell the premium products as well to the public. We use hot composting, vermicomposting, that's composting with worms, and also green waste composting to accomplish all of this. In this episode, we'll take a look at the easiest one to do, that's green waste composting, and it's something you can do with little cost and very little trouble in your backyard. So let's take a look at how it's done. So over here is what we got at Ka'ohao. We have some vessels. These are protopods. They were used for something else. We repurposed them as green waste pods. And we have some tumblers, which I'm sure you've seen before. These are available at Costco and occasionally at hardware stores. And these are for green waste composting. And it's very handy to have. We use it for the small green waste stuff we have, leaves and grass and prunings and some garden waste. And I also will use these for my overflow worm food, the stuff that I don't want to give the worms, the rejects. So these work great for both. Let me show you how they work and how you can set one up in your backyard. Okay, so here's a pretty standard commercial green waste bin, a tumbler, and you can probably find these around town if you want to, spend some money and buy one. It's real simple, and we use it here for stuff like grass and leaves and prunings, and nothing to it really. You can just put in your grass clippings, your leaves, your prunings, your garden waste. Just put that stuff in there. Every week or so you give it a tumble. It mixes it up a little. And the key piece of information here is every week you gotta drench it with water. So this is another composting system that people forget to water. Just like your worms, you want to water this. You want to keep all the materials inside moist. And all little bugs, the bacteria, the fungi, and the invertebrates will get in there and start breaking it down. It's a little too hot and dry for worms, but all the other buggers, all the other members of the decomposer community do very well in here, and they do a great job of breaking it down to very nice compost. So this is a good alternative if you want to go and buy something. If you don't, you can make your own, pretty easy. Okay, so let me show you how we use one of these. This is a pod, basically a homemade item that we repurposed from a different kind of container. So any container will do. You need to put a lot of pukas, get your drill out, put a lot of big pukas in the bottom for drainage, put it up on some bricks so it can drain freely, and put a bunch of pukas in the side so there's air getting in. Okay, so once again, you're making pukas for drainage and aeration. Very important. Okay, let me take off the lid here and show you what we got inside. Again, we put our grass clippings, our leaves, our prunings and whatever in here, but I also sneak in some food waste, which is perfectly okay to do. And you can put in the stuff you're not going to put in your worm bin. Sometimes you have extra, sometimes you have meat or dairy, you don't want to put that in your worm bin, and sometimes you just have stuff that you have chosen not to compost with your worms. And in my case, that's stuff like this. I get a lot of orange peels. I don't like to use orange peels in the worm bin because they take so long to break down. These have been juiced, so wonderful orange juice, yeah, but I got all these orange peels that I don't want to really use, so I just dump them in. Oh, here's another thing I get a lot of. Now, the worms will eventually break this down, but it takes them too long, and it takes up a lot of space in the worm bin. So I also don't like things like this. So any meat or dairy products that you're not going to put in your worm bin, or any things you decide to reject, just put them in your green waste bin. So you're just going to dump in, and then you're going to cover it up. So Here's the kind of stuff that we normally put in here anyway. I'm just going to make a layer of it. Grass and leaves. So I'm just going to cover up my food. As always, just like with your worm bin, you always cover. So here's what I have. Oh, I got some garden trimmings and some grass and leaves. Typical stuff. I bet you have this from your yard too. I want to make sure I cover the food completely, just like I do with worms. Pencil. Well, I just scored a pencil and spread it around. And the key, of course, water it. If you're not watering, you don't have a compost operation, you have a rubbish heap. So please water. I'm going to turn this on flood and really hammer it. Flood, okay. I want everything soaking wet. You got to get lots of moisture on this green waste. And all that food in there is buried. It'll be taken care of. It won't stink. It won't be a problem. Even if it's a little bit of meat or dairy, just bury it under green waste and you'll be just fine. Soak it down good, and at least once a week, soak your green waste pile. You want to keep everything moist. Remember, it's moisture that runs this whole process, moisture and air. So you can do this in any vessel whatsoever. A typical one, if you don't have a lot of space, you know, just go to the hardware store, get yourself one of these 32-gallon rubbish cans. You want one of these Rubbermaid things. Throw a bunch of pukas in the bottom, a bunch of pukas in the side. Throw in your green waste, water it. Add your occasional food waste, water it. Layer it with plenty of green waste and food waste, and it will eventually break down to compost, I promise you, and you'll be able to use it around the yard. It's probably not quality enough for a garden, but it's fine for landscaping and around the yard. So this is a great way to make a medium quality compost and to get rid of all the stuff you're not putting in your worm bin. That's your high quality stuff. Green waste is kind of moderate as far as quality goes, but it's still great and still a way to get rid of all that waste without putting it in the waste stream and requiring transportation to take it somewhere. So keep all of the resources at home, okay? Don't let anything leave your backyard. Everything now is going to turn into soil restoration. And we're going to get rid of our green waste and our rejects from our worm bin and any extra stuff we happen to have. I use my piles all the time to sneak in my reject food, and it works just great. Gives a little bugger something more interesting to eat than just grass and leaves. Okay, that's it. Green waste, easy. Thanks. Nothing to it really. You just stuff stuck in. Woo, stuff.